Good morning, all of you. Today, we are going to talk about feminist canon of Indian writers in English. Over the recent years, we have found that Indian writing in English has emerged as an effective literature, or you can say a literature which has its own identity. And when we talk about feminist canon, then certainly we are going to talk about those literary works that are about women, either written by women or they might be written by men, but dealing with the issues related to women. And I have already told you what we mean by the word canon. When we talk about literary canon, we just want to take into consideration all the works which are written in a particular time period, or you can say that which can be included as a set of works written about some common themes, and the works which have been assessed by the intellectuals, by the readers or scholars as standard works related to that particular subject. Now, when we talk about feminist canon of Indian writers in English, we have to just examine what we really mean by feminism and feminist literature. Now, when we talk about feminism, we certainly want to describe or throw light on those literary works which have been written about women. It's not necessary that they should be written by female writers, but the issues that have been taken up by the writers should certainly be concerned with women, their various problems, their various areas of work, their status in society, not only in society, but in different walks of life. It is a fact, and history gives an evidence that women were not treated as the luminaries as far as the social status is concerned. We can talk about India, that early Indian history, or in ancient times, there were women like Gargi and Maitreyi, and there were many scholars, women scholars, and women were considered to be the symbol of power. Women, of course, give birth to men, and they are mothers, and in Indian culture, she is worshipped as goddess Durga, means the embodiment of strength, power, courage, of course. But there came those dark periods of history when everywhere in the world women took the secondary seat, or you can say the back seat, and men came to the forefront, and gradually society changed into a male-dominated society. Now, because because of that, we find that women were neglected. They were not considered equal as far as the equality between men and women is concerned. Men was always considered to be superior to women. Now, I don't want to go into argument. I don't want to enter in any kind of discussion. But the fact is that women are also human beings, just as men are. And it is necessary to study women as human beings, as persons who have equal, who should be given equal importance, but unfortunately, women also allowed men to come to the forefront, and everything that was written was from the male point of view. Now, there were hardly any works related to women. Women were treated as characters, of course, in literary works, but nobody tried to study the women's point of view. Now, when we talk about feminist literature, now, generally, the first thing that comes to our mind is literature written by women. Now, it is not so that only that work or those works which have been written by women, they should be called feminist literature, or they should be kept in the category of feminist literature. Even those works in which women or issues related to them or problems related to them have been dealt with, they can be called feminist literature. Now, there were some male writers also. We see, like in Bengal, Sharat Chandra, Ravindranath Tagore, Bankim Chandra. Now, they wrote novels and stories related to women and their miserable condition, especially the widows, the child widows, who had to suffer a lot because of the traditions existing in the society. Now, there were male writers who just tried to raise their voice against these hardships borne by women. But when in England and America, a clear-cut literature, or you can say there was a revolution. Though there were some works in different periods of time, when people did try to draw attention of the people of the world that women should also be given some significance. But it was not until 20th century and late 19th century when this movement as a feminist movement, or you can say that there was an emergence of feminism and feminist literature all over the world. And in about middle of this 20th century, we find that even the women writers of India started writing about their fellow sisters. Now, if we try to look at the historical background, we can say that we became aware of the fact that in writing field, women were absent, or you can say they were invisible, whereas the history of man is the symbol of the history of civilization. Feminism then came forward to make the women's position visible from the margins of history to the present. So it was a kind of effort to throw light on the capabilities of women as writers. Now, we can say that feminism brings the suppressed narratives to women's experiences into light. But it is a fact that there was no separate female aesthetic theory, and there was no female critical theory, or you can say there was no feminine point of view to assess the literary works. So, in 1980, the Anglo-American literary world carried the job of the formation of canon of the female writing. And for this purpose, women writers' achievements had to be made prominent who had been neglected. Radical feminist theory fulfills the requirements of moral and political agenda. It took a stand that was ideological and revolutionary, and that brought about a drastic change. Now, it affected the society and made improvements in the thoughts of the people. Now, the people were compelled to change their mindset about women. And it is the work of the feminist critic to identify the plus points and the minus points of the text. The critic identifies the work for gender equality and resistance to male dominance. A literature that can serve the cause of the movement, that is the liberation of women. Now, that is very important. Cherry Register says that literature must do one or more of these tasks. It should act as a forum for women to help them achieve a cultural identity, or you can say to provide society with role models and to promote sisterhood and increase consciousness raising. It is not only to serve the purpose of few women who were made victims of society, but to wake all the women of the world and to make them realize their significance as responsible citizens, or you can say responsible person. I don't mean to say that women have neglected their duty at any time. What I want to say is that in spite of working very hard for the family, for the society, for the nation, they were without recognition. Means nobody tried to give any kind of respect or appreciation to them. Now, in a male-dominated society, a woman's place has always been underestimated, or you can say it was considered to be not of much significance. To get that position and to highlight the importance, to give the proper place to a woman, the feminist movement was started. Feminism is the name given to a movement supporting equal rights for women. And we see that even in India, women have been given a lot of consideration due to the efforts of these kinds of feminist movements. Now, there is a 33% of reservation for women, and everywhere we hear the word women empowerment. But what I feel is that women were empowered right from the beginning. It is only the need to make them conscious of their power. Now, both men and women have suggested solutions to this. Some people have been writing about the education of women, equality, then marriage and rights of women, and among them we can name the writers like Milton, Pope, Rousseau, John Stuart Mill. Now, but it was when Simone de Beauvoir wrote the landmark treasure, The Second Sex, in which the male attitude towards the female literary works were discussed. Although women have been writing since long, but it got its shape and recognition in 1960 with the feminist movement. The feminist movement gave a true recognition to the women writers because it was concerned with aspects like representations of women in literature and the circumstances and the authority questioned, and it positioned itself to combat the ideology that existing images of women propagated in the society. It recognized the mass media as the most appropriate means of changing attitude towards women. Now, let us have a look at what we mean by feminist literature. Now, generally, we think that women writings are feminist, as they are written by women. But to be a feminist writer, it is not enough to be a woman. She should have some qualities to be called as a feminist writer. There are a number of conditions for a literature to be called a feminist. Because of the emergence of feminism, a criticism gives importance to the literature in which there is free involvement of women without the legal, social, or political foundations. Now, again, I would like to mention Cherry Register, who says that literature must do one or more of these things, that is, it must serve as a forum for women. It must help them to establish or to achieve a cultural identity. It must provide role models, and it should definitely try to increase or raise their consciousness. Now, in the absence of any clear-cut definition of female aesthetic, we have to be very careful in choosing or deciding about the way in which we can call a literature a feminist literature. Now, let us just try to study the evolution of the feminist canon. Now, when we talk about feminist canon, we can, and especially I'm talking about the feminist canon of Indian writers in English. Now, we have to just review and examine the existence of the writers of feminism in Indian English. Now, many writers claim that they have written very enthusiastically about women, but the gender is not deliberate. We find that it is accidental. And their writings are not affected by being male. Even then, there are some causes confined to the women, or they are neglected by men. The female aspect is normally in a problem when the women are dominated by male. Now, I won't go into the depth of the reasons why it is so, who is responsible, men or women themselves. But it is a fact that even today, when we are beating the drum of feminism, when we are talking about equality of men and women, we find that still it is a male-dominated society. Now, with the masculine standards, and there are a number of successful writers, women writers of Indian English writings. We have, for example, I can say that, Anita Desai is one of them. Now, Shashi Deshpande is again there, Anish Jung is there, then Ruth Pravar Jhabwala, who has written Heat and Dust, and now Arundhati Roy, and there are many others. Kamala Das is a poet, of course, and Sarojini Naidu, for example, the lady who started writing poems related to Indian culture, deeply rooted in Indian culture. So there have been many women who have tried to give vent to their ideas, and they have ventured to tread upon the so-called male-dominated field of literature. Now, that was the concept, or you can say that was the ideology, that women writers cannot write as efficiently or as proficiently as male writers. But it is not so. And women have proved that when they decide, they can do the work just like man, or even better than man sometimes, Now, not always. I don't want to invite trouble. Now, women have been writing, but it was not until 1960 in America where the feminist movement took a definite shape and widened its scope. After that, feminist thought wasn't restricted only to the social science of or humanities, but to each and every form of educational study. Its impressions could be seen in every corner after 1960. The feminist trend saw that the literature provides role models of acceptable, I should say even commendable, feminine conduct and aspiration. Now, it examined the representation of women in literature and questioned the mode and manner of the construction of those representations. It saw the essentiality as crucial to put a question mark on the situations, authority, and purpose of constructions. It combated the ideology propagated by the existing models of women. It recognized the mass media as the most appropriate means of changing attitude towards women. Now, in 1970, a central point to know about feminist writing and thinking was to investigate and express the system of dominance of male over female. Feminist literature tried to expose and explore the thinking of men and women who stressed on gender inequality for a long time. Special attention was on the male writers who were forming typical and influential models of women. In fact, feminist literary writing in India is largely in the form of critical analysis of literature, history, and society. Now, let us have a look at the issues and problems in the construction of a feminist canon of Indian English. The first issue that crops up is that most writers claim to write sensitively and that the gender does not matter. They also claim that the subjects or the forms chosen by them are not dictated by their being male or female. But when we look at the reality, we find that there are some areas which are confined to females, some areas which are neglected by males or discussed by them in male-oriented terms. Women writers found these experiences and feelings fit for exploration. For example, Anita Desai's novel Cry the Peacock, and there we have a protagonist, Maya. She is a daughter-in-law, wedded into a traditional family. The husband doesn't understand her psychology, and she has dreams of her own because the way she has been brought up, it was different kind of environment, and ultimately she meets a tragic end. Now, when we read that novel, and if we read it from the male point of view, the story will not be very appealing, because it is very easy to comment that as a daughter-in-law or daughter-in-law of an Indian family, it was her duty to just adjust herself in the new family of which she became the member. But we find that if we look at the story from the female point of view, then our own assessment will be different. So we find that apart from the emergence of the female thinking, due to the way females live and deal with the world, it is not very easy to evaluate a literary work written by a female writer or written about female issues in an impartial or objective manner. Sometimes the female perspective gets problematic as the male domination is rooted in the females to such an extent that even in the protests or revolts, also the male voice can be easily felt. Another problem which the Indian feminism is facing is that Indian English writers, or women writers especially, they are not showing their talent openly. There is not a large number of women coming forward in this domain, and their writing craft is missing somewhere, and little interest is shown for being part of the moment which helps them to bring up in them art and beauty, or aesthetics we can call it. It all brings us to the assumption that although to these authors women innovations are significant, but in the political way they have significance. Their presence is to show the way in which women can become aware of the world in which they live. The author keeps herself at the position of discussing or describing the condition of women instead of putting herself in the position of an agent or a messenger who brings about the changes in which one thinks women should be or they should be treated. Now, it is necessary that the writers be frank enough to give their opinion, their point of view, and therefore it may happen that the feelings they discuss and justify may be widely varied and individual, but in any case, it should be related to a woman's life and not on man-based principles and values. Now, when we talk about women's literature in India, the names that come is Anis Jung, Shashi Deshpande. Now, Anis Jung can be called a feminist writer because she described the world of ordinary women through Unveiling India, a woman's journey in 1987. She gave a poetic account of lives of these women, which added an epic quality to her narration. Now, another important writer, Shashi Deshpande, has also highlighted the exploitation of women, her variances as experiences. She has put up a question mark on the thinking of the society and has demanded solution. In her stories, we can see the day-to-day conflicts between the social and traditional expectations of women, not only the role of a daughter or in any other, but especially the conflict is given between her role as a wife and a mother with that of her own aspirations, emotions, and sensibilities. Deshpande has already announced that she is not a feminist, and her writings are totally based on human feelings and experiences. But we repeatedly come to know that human experience revolves around women, and the silence of women are most loud. Now, we know that more and more women are entering the literary domain or the literary field, and in a way, we can say a great change is taking place as far as the feminist canon of Indian writers in English is concerned. And there are very good works, standard works, works which are appreciated all over the globe, have come and have appeared on the literary scene, and it is a good sign that that section of society, which was neglected for a long time, has come forward to assert their presence, and that presence is felt everywhere. So, it is necessary for all of us to just applaud this effort on the part of women, and especially the women writers of India. Thank you.